Well, thank you for joining us again for another edition of How to Start Your Internet Show. We appreciate all of those of you who are following us on the Spreaker radio platform, Blog Talk Radio, Voicecast, and so many other social media radio platforms, radio and video platforms. And we appreciate you so much. So welcome aboard, and we trust that you will be okay.
Your head in my lap and the tears run dry. We both know why. The strain of the moment is growing. We will be on break point, but no one knows. Hold on, baby, hold on. You try to fight, you try to drive us apart. I won't break down if we barely hold together one more night. The dark will fade to light. We could wait tomorrow. We could die tonight. We could separate in sorrow. Suffer through the night. Suddenly all is nothing.
Welcome aboard to another edition of the How-To series, How to Start Your Internet Radio Show, working on getting the secondary engineer here, but we move on anyway. Trust that everything is going according to plan in your life and that everything is okay. We talked last time about your content and your equipment, and so I want to do a small recap because it bears repeating. You want to make sure that you are ready to go forth with your internet show after you have done the necessary research. You don't want to plunge ahead because, as in my case, very experienced, but if you don't have the right things in place, then you may not know what to do, and you may be subject to not being as consistent on your show as you would want to. So many times I see people they'll have a podcast or radio show, and then they'll have times when they skip the show and podcast because of what seems to be circumstances beyond their control. But you have to control the circumstances when you're a broadcaster. And so hopefully my example will serve as a great platform for you to spring from. So now back to content. You want to know what it is that you're going to talk about, share about. Who is your target audience? Excuse me. And you want to be able to take notes. Hopefully you're sharing your information on a platform that has analytics. Now, analytics are simply statistical information that is gathered together via the platform that you're streaming your audio information from or through. And the platform will gather perhaps demographics regarding age group, regarding accessibility, and regarding perhaps length of stay or number of listeners. And even Facebook has analytics. You'll have to go into your settings to download that. Google has great analytics. And most websites that have that are serving as a host program for you to broadcast video or audio have great analytics. And so you want to have that in mind as you go forward. Now with the content, you have your audio platforms as well as your video platforms, and then you have your graphics and text platforms. When we branch into all four of these, then we're starting to do a multimedia presentation. Then, of course, you can have slideshows, again, video or streaming audio or text, and for those advanced 3D graphics and beyond. So now, the secondary issue that we covered was your equipment. I spoke a little bit about your audio interface. I spoke also about the mixers now that are available for you to be able to stream your show from anywhere, actually, anywhere where you have power and, of course, by all means, internet. But also, it helps to have a few other things that we want to talk about today. You have XLR cables. That is the cable that has the 3-prong male on one end and 3-prong female on the other end. The female is the 3-prong where the holes are, and the male is the 3 prongs where the metal is, and you can see it and feel it. And on your mixer, you have, and I'm not an audio expert, okay, but I'm just sharing with you what I know. On your mixer, you can have XLR outputs as well as line outputs. Now, I have in all three of my studios, we have mixers and audio interfaces that have both. And so it helps to have the XLR because it's a higher quality in my view. So that's your ends for your mics, and then you have your quarter-inch, a quarter-inch male, I want to say, and then you have your 1/8-inch male. Now your quarter-inch and your 1/8 inches may need adapters. For instance, let's say you have a microphone that goes to a video camera, and most video cameras that are layman video cameras and not necessarily professionals. The professional cameras have XLR inputs rather. But for those, that had cameras back in the day, maybe a few years old, they had 1/8-inch mic jacks. And those 1/8-inch mic jacks can be outfitted with a quarter-inch adapter. So that same microphone, it has a little skinnier cord and has a real small adapter at the end. That's the 1/8-inch. It's sort of the same adapter that's on the edge of your headphones. So that's the 1/8-inch in size. So as you go forward, you'll have adapters perhaps. They have 1/8-inch cords that have RCAs on the opposite end. But I don't like to use RCAs on a mixer on the ins and outs. And on a mixer, you'll see ins and outs. RCAs are the white and red inputs and outputs on your mixer. I do not like to use that because you don't have any control unless you have a large mixer that controls the ins and outs for RCAs. So I generally go into XLR or a line drive, line in rather, with a 1/8-inch or with an adapter, quarter-inch adapter, and then also, of course your XLRs for your microphones. So, but they have all kinds of cables that you can purchase for your usage, and that is the one of the things we want to talk about today is that, let's say, for instance, you have an iPod. Let's just make it real basic, and I'm going to have to take a break here in just a second, but let's just say you have an iPod and you want to start a little radio show, and let's say you have a favorite song that you want to use as your opener. Well, you take your 1/8-inch to 1/8-inch male-to-male cable. Some of them, for the iPods, you can buy them. They're white or black. And you put in a quarter-inch adapter on the side that goes to the mixer and plug the other side into your iPhone or your MP3 player or whatever the case may be. And then you can control, that's what I call a player source. Now, generally, when I'm on the air, I like to have 2 or more playing sources. I'm getting ready to start using, a lot of people don't know that I don't use DJ software. It's not that I have anything against it. It's just that I hadn't gotten around to studying the logistics and technical jargon regarding that. But I'm getting ready to test that market, test that avenue rather, to ensure that I have a better playing source when I'm traveling. But let's just say you're going to plug in your iPhone and use a song, one of your favorite songs or something like that. That's how you would plug it up. You would plug it into a mixer. Now, they have mixers, as I said last session, for 4 channels and beyond. 2 channels even and beyond. But the 2 is really 4 because you could use the RCAs going in and out. But as I said before, you won't have much control over the volume. And then some people are advanced enough where they use either DJ software, which is excellent. DJ software is really excellent. If you can use that, if you can understand it and study it and get that under your belt, that's really one of your best bets. Because if I could just pause and say, the DJ software will do everything for you. Now, we're not talking about you becoming a DJ, but it's just a way to load your songs up into the DJ channel A, channel B, and then have it like right there at your fingertips. And I'll talk a little bit more about that perhaps later, if not in another show. But you're going to have a mixer that connects to your computer, via USB connectivity. Then you're going to want to, to have an audio interface. And so if you go to a local music store or equipment store, not a repair instrument store, but a music store that has equipment. Or if you go online, you want to type in audio interface, and you're going to see a plethora of audio interfaces of all kinds. But you're going to want to look at the low ends, Alesis, Yamaha. I'm sure that they have, ACO, micro. There are all kinds of audio interfaces if you don't have or cannot get a hold of a mixer. I like using the mixer because generally it comes with more channels, but you can also get an audio interface with multiple channels. So audio interface is just as good as a mixer, to be frank about it, and may be better in some cases because you may buy a mixer and it may not have. If you buy a mixer, it has to have USB connectivity. Let me just say it like that. If you go into the store or if you're Googling it, you want to say mixer with USB connectivity. If the price point is too high, you want to go with an audio interface. Some people call it I/O. And then you still need to know what to do with that because audio interfaces, as I'll cover in another show, can be real tricky. Latency issues can occur. Knowing how to measure the sound going into the platform that you're using can be an issue. Your internet connection can be an issue. A lot of people don't know that on most computers you have a USB that is high speed and the rest are low speed. That can be an issue. What are some of the other issues? You could also have a connectivity issue. I remember several times being on the air live when I used to do the live shows, 3 live shows a week, and would be wondering, why am I not seeing the meter move? And I come to find out I got a bad cord. So you're going to want to test everything when you buy it. And one of the most important things that I can share before I take a break is that you're going to want to, what was I getting ready to say? You're going to want to know your equipment. It doesn't matter what you have. You want to know its limitations and you want to know its capabilities. This is if I had to have a theme for this particular show, it would be make a list of what you have, make a list of what you think you're going to need. Of course, your budget, and I could say a word or two about that if I can return to that. But know your equipment, what it can do, what it can't do. For instance, a lot of IOs come with MIDI channels. You don't need to use MIDI channels unless you're going to do some plugins. And I don't know if I will cover that in these sessions, only because I haven't mastered plugins. When I was in the music field, just doing music only, I would use plugins, and I would often play with the MIDI applications and plugins. But it's no guarantee it's no need that you would use that unless you want to use a MIDI board, and that's a whole nother conversation. But you have many times you have MIDI capabilities on a I/O that you would not have on a mixer, MIDI, M-I-D-I. Now, the advantage of that is if you are familiar with plugins, or if you have a musician in your family or somebody that's familiar with plugins, you can ask them, hey, why don't you program my MIDI board to play my commercials, to play my jingles, and we'll cover all this in other upcoming shows. But unless you have someone to walk you through what plugins are about and how to work MIDI, which is not difficult, but it's just tricky. You may not want to bother with that when you start. Let that be for when you're becoming more advanced. And I could do MIDI. And we probably will be doing MIDI, but I have so much on my plate that I just don't need anything else. You know what I'm saying? But you want to know your equipment's capability, and you want to know your equipment's limitations. And I say that because then you'll be buying, you'll be buying equipment that you don't need or that you're not ready for, and that's going to be outdated within 30 days. Or you're going to not be able to troubleshoot. Now, let me just say that before I go to commercial break. I know I said I was going to go to commercial break earlier, and I need one. You want to make sure that you troubleshoot and test all equipment. So, if I had a theme for today's show, it would be know your equipment's limitations and capabilities. And number 3, test all equipment. Test all equipment. Never go live without testing your equipment to see what it does, what you need to turn down, what you need to turn up, whether or not when you play back the test, it was satisfactory to the volume levels, the mastering levels, the mix levels, things of that sort. So know your equipment through its capabilities, its limitations. Test all equipment. And if you do these things beforehand, now I put a lot of thought into my stuff, but if you do these things beforehand, you will be able to have a lot more success. I'm going to go to commercial break real quick, and then I'll be back on the backside, talk a little bit more, okay? Thanks so much. Stand by.
You're listening to SIBN Radio. We'll be right back in a moment. Now is the time to have your business online with the Select USA TV iBroadcasting Network. That's right, SIBN or Select USA TV will produce your video on the spot. Picture business videos, on location streaming videos, or on location production videos. Dial 678-830-3118 or call the office at 404-910-5019 Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now is the time to have your business online with SIBN. The Select USA TV iBroadcasting Network now offers picture videos, on-location streaming videos, and on-location production videos for your event calls, brand, or mission. Call today, 678-830-3118 or 404-910-5019.
Right, but a talking gecko, why?
I'll tell you why. Because people trust advertising icons. Some bloke tells you to go to geico.com and you're like, really? Just who might you be? But a gecko, he can be trusted. I ask if you want to save hundreds on car insurance, and you're like, yes, thank you. Mind babysitting my kids? And I'm like, of course I'll sit with the kids. You're like a brother to me.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
All right, so we're back here talking episode 2 on how to start your internet radio show. And by all means, some of you are advanced, some of you are beginners, some of you are just looking to tweak what you have. I do better with complex issues than simple issues. And so that's why I'm doing the show. I say, well, let me get some of this stuff out of my head and share with the general public so that you'll know that I'm just an average guy with some extraordinary talent, perhaps. But back to what I was saying about your show's content, you want to make sure that you have more than one playing source, in my view. For instance, if your favorite song is playing, right, and it opens up the show, then you want to have some bed music. And sometimes when you're nervous, you may not have enough, you may not move fast enough to have the music that is the bed music playing. So, but if the bed music is already repeating on another playing source, then you can just turn the volume up softly on the secondary source and continue on with your show. Whereas if you're fiddling with your iPhone to try to stop one song and start another, it may be a little bit difficult. Another reason for a playing source would be you have, maybe an interview that you did, and maybe you burned it to a CD, or maybe you put it on another MP3 or whatever. And when you get nervous, sometimes it may be your eyes or your hands. You kind of stumble and fumble around. And so, it may be a little difficult. But if you have a secondary playing source, it can be very helpful for multiple pieces for one show, such as bed music or lead in, lead out, things of that nature. Now, for myself, I have a very complex system set up with at least 2 to 3, sometimes 4 playing sources. Though I may not use them all, I have to have the comfort of knowing I can use more than one. The other thing is you may need more than one monitor. A lot of people don't know you can extend your desktop with your computer. When you're doing the show, this is very important because, again, when you become nervous, you don't know what. If you haven't studied how you become nervous, your nervousness will show up, and you'll be wondering what to do about it. For me, when I'm extremely nervous, I can't see, so it's important for me to have my glasses nearby. But more importantly, it's important for me to have 2 screens if I'm going to be, using a monitor that has a lot of reading material on it, such as playlists or things of that nature. And that's one of the reasons why I'm going to start using a DJ software. But you still may need a secondary monitor, because a second monitor extends your desktop, and you can slide that one screen that you have open over to that second monitor, and then you can use your main broadcasting console on your main monitor. So it's like having 2 computers, but you only extended it by adding another monitor to your laptop or even to your desktop. You can't quite do that with a tablet. But again, tablets come in as a secondary monitor if you're using your tablet to disseminate information, or maybe even as a playing source as well. So what else can I tell you about? So know your equipment, know its capabilities, know its limitations, know the condition of your wires. I have found that the wires kind of wear and tear. If you're wrapping them, someone just, told me, don't wrap your wires, kind of lay them in bows going back and forth, and then rubber band them rather than wrapping your wires, because that tends to break the copper or whatever it is that's on the inside of the wires. And I forgot to turn, and that's another thing when you're doing a show, turn your freaking phone off so that it doesn't ring. Turn your phone off so it doesn't ring. And I remember I was interviewing an A-list celebrity, and then another TV station was interviewing them, and I forgot to turn my phone off. I was doing so many things, and the phone started ringing while they were recording. I was most embarrassed. So always ask all of your guests and those in the audience, and I should know better, and I apologize. And there goes my second phone. So we'll take a commercial break and come back, and maybe we'll have our phones off. How about that? All right, here we go.
Attention all artists of all genres. Now you can be featured on Gas Global Artist Showcase on the CATL show, airing now on SIBN Radio. That's right, all artists now, all genres, wholesome and positive, please, can be featured on Gas Global Artist Showcase. Global Artist Showcase on the CATL show, now airing on SIBN Radio. For more information, dial 404-910-5019. That's 404-910-5019. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's right. Or email us at globalcoverage@selectusatv.info.
Hold on to me as we go.
It's time to pursue our dreams, to chase what we believe in. It's time to work, to give it our very all and not give up. American Family Insurance believes your dreams deserve the best protection. That's why we're committed to being there for you every step of the way.
I'm gonna make this place your home.
Donate today and join me in helping the American Cancer Society save lives and end cancer. What will you give?
All right, we're back here, and thank you so much for being patient. We're still getting ourselves together here, and moving forward. We got a couple more minutes left. So, as I said, know your equipment, its capabilities, its limitations. Make sure you run technical tests. If you can, read up on the equipment that you buy, particularly if you buy something new that you've never used before. Make sure you read what you can. I wouldn't say read the manual, but read what you can, and try to run some tests. And the other thing that we want to share with you is about your equipment, your computers. Now, the things that I've learned so many things about computers from trial and error, and many errors in the trials that I have ran. I think I must have went through 6 or 7 computers before I finally knew what I was doing. That was because I didn't realize that the computer world turns over almost every week. Whatever you buy today is obsolete next week. So you want to make sure you have your computer optimized. This is very, very important. I can remember times when I've gotten ready to go on the air, and my computer needs to do 22 updates. And I'm looking like, are you serious? You know what I'm saying? So if you shut your computer off more often than not, your computer is not receiving the updates that is necessary to function. And those updates can range from antivirus updates to updates for iTunes, all your players, video and audio players, to system updates, and the list goes on and on and on, especially system updates. And so if you turn your computer off a lot and you leave it off for long periods of time, particularly overnight, which is usually when most updates are scheduled to happen on computers by default, then you're going to be faced when you least expect it and you're ready to go live or ready to broadcast. Your computer is going to want to shut down, or may not, or some parts of your computer may not function. You're going to be like trouble, like, why is my computer acting crazy? And it's because it has not been updated. All right. And we're going to talk more about that in the future. My time is just about up. I want to go ahead on and cue my music in and bring my music in. But thank you so very much for following us on Facebook, on Twitter, Ustream, YouTube, all of that stuff, man. I'll catch you guys on episode 3.
Select USA TV iBroadcasting Network. You're listening to SIBN Radio.